All right, people, we got an exciting breaking news today, and look who we got to speak with me, Spooky Morales. I mean, if you guys don't know him, he's on a lot on the Chad Smith channel, Smash Shit podcast, and also he's on Friday night with the same group, but they're on Paranormal Chop Shop. Same group, but they do two different shows on two different channels. And then, of course, after this show, I will put all the information where you can meet these people in the description. You guys know what the rules are. I don't put any links because I don't want people to cheat and see videos and then come in. I want, because this might be the first time some of you have seen these videos, but I will put where you can see Spooky on the Chad Smith, and here he is right there, Chad Smith podcast. And actually, Danny, if you want to find Chad Smith podcast for me and put the link in the chat, I appreciate that. I'm a rookie. I should have had it already, but I was actually on their channel, so I was doing everything. But in honor of Bigfoot Anon, there's a 15-minute clip. He has footages of the Bigfoot. So I took it and slowed it down a little bit because 15 seconds will go way too fast. So we're going to jump on over to the Bigfoot, and we're going to check out a Bigfoot Anon video. All right. Now I got two Bigfoot videos. One's like 6 minutes. That's kind of a longer one, but I'm going to play Connor's 15-second. It's a different pictures, but I did take his video and made it a little longer so we can see the pictures a little bit longer, so we could analyze them ourselves. Because Spooky, I don't know if you've ever seen these pictures or not. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. So let me just get it up here. So Bigfoot Anon, this is for you. That's a good one right there. Man. Oh. Now I'm gonna take the sound off, and sometimes I'll play in the background. Let me pause on some of these. That's a good one. I mean, you always got to try to debunk too. I mean, that's, we can't always say everything is 100% real and not. If that's a good picture, I mean, if I'm gonna say it's not a bear, there's no way, it's too slim. No. Could it be a hairy dog? Could be a possibility of a hairy dog, but there's no way that's a bear. Now, you think that could be a monkey or a gorilla by any chance, Spooky? I mean, it looks like it has too much hair for a gorilla.
If it's a gorilla, it looks like a gorilla suit.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be a man in a suit too, because it is a thinner.
But the body is, I don't know, that looks pretty sus.
Yeah, it could be the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. We will never know. And then if you go to, let's see here, let's skip ahead. Let's see. That one's kind of neat in a weird way too, because you got this gray and black shape of a body, but then when you look at the face, it's almost like a skeleton.
That's cavemanish to me. It's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's so look at how there's like the oval spot on top of their head. It's like cut out like a, I don't know, like it's already going bald or something.
I was looking at the chat, and I'm just sorry. This is kind of funny. Two of my favorite people to cover in coconut oil. Listen.
Oh man, look what I brought with me. Sorry, Eric.
No. I told her. She said that to me in that, and I'm like, hey, you can put coconut oil all you want, but I want cherry on top of the coconut too. I want cherry on top on that.
That'll be your next video.
I told you guys on Chad Smith that when they sent me a video, I found it in my spam because they wrote the word. I'm thinking because they wrote butt stuff. Google must have thought they're a porn channel or something. Which nothing wrong with the porn channel. I'm all for everybody to represent themselves in the porn world. You know? Hey, somebody asked me the other day, Eric, what do you think about strip clubs? And I go, I'd rather watch a porn movie than strip clubs. They're like, what? They're like, that's not being a real man. I'm like, no, it is being a real man because at a strip club, you're paying money for something you can't touch. It's like this, like the Poison song. You can look, but you can't touch. But at least at home with porn, you can touch. Maybe you're only touching yourself, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, the more you know.
You know. So now this one is so interesting because if that's a suit, that's a big ass fucking suit. I mean, that's like it's like a small face with a big broad body and just
that's like a fusion of a couple different beasts.
It is. And like I said, if that's a suit, that's a damn good suit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a fucking gorilla. That's not a bear. That's that. I think of all these, I don't know why. I love that one.
Yeah, that is an amazing picture.
Put it on says that was from a passing car. Wow, passing car caught that good of a picture? That car had to stop because that's too clear of a picture. I mean,
it's at least a drive-by
than most pictures that you've seen. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. Oh,
that and you always hear the same old, Spooky. You always hear the same old story. Some people say, "Well, that looks fuzzy." Why can't we get a clear picture? And I'm like, guys, I go like, you guys have Discovery Plus channel. Go to the crime section. Go to those crime video ones. Every time they look at cameras and crime, trying to find the killer or who's robbing a store.
Oh, that's such a great point.
Those pictures are crystal clear.
Yeah, that's true.
And think about it. I'm serious, guys. Trust me. Crime 2021. Let's look at the video cameras, and they'll show on these crime shows, and it's never super clear. Some are black and white, and I'm thinking to myself, man, with all this technology, with all these rings and stuff, why? If I own a business, why can't I have a camera that have that perfect shot? So when somebody robs my store or do something bad, you got a clear footage. Just watch those crime shows. None of those footages are clear. So think about that. You had probably spent more money on a better camera on a business building. And then you go out in the woods. Everybody probably has a regular camera or a phone that is not as much money as a security camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But people don't think about that. I go, show me a perfect, clear crime camera. I'm sure there's some clear videos, but most of those videos are fuzzy.
And they'll still use it as evidence.
Yes. Bingo.
Right.
You're Spooky saying they still use that in court cases and crimes and all that. And somebody can't use this and says the real Bigfoot. Then if I was getting arrested, you and I getting arrested for murder or something, like, well, look at that Bigfoot. People say it ain't not real. If that picture's fuzzy, look at our picture. This is fuzzy. Then you gotta let us go. But no, they'll probably arrest us because we're not handsome. We're not handsome. Brad Pitt people.
We're suspect.
Yeah, we're suspect. So let me see here. Let's see. Was there? I think that was kind of neat. One. It's kind of neat. The only question, if I'm going to question, the only thing I would say is kind of weird is 3 of them are kind of big bodies, but you have one slim body. So why is it 3 big and 1 slim? I'm just trying to look at of all, like, if I'm trying to debunk it. I think that's the only weird thing I would have to say, because at this point you can't determine fake or fraud. I mean, that's pretty cool because you got 4 things in the middle of the snow standing out.
If somebody did fake this picture, why would they not pay attention to that detail though, right? Yeah. Why would they allow that to go out as their final product?
Yeah.
So it's totally sus all the way around.
And guys, this is from Bigfoot and On, and I will put his TikTok link in the chat. Now, in honor of Bigfoot Anon, there is a news clip of skunk apes in Florida. So this is a little longer video. I don't usually put on 6-minute videos, but I'm trying to honor Bigfoot Anon for all the hard work he's been doing in the Bigfoot community. And so this is in his neck of the woods.
For years, there have been rumors of mysterious creatures lurking in the Florida swamplands. Tall tales of ape-like animals walking upright. Tonight, ABC's Gloria Riviera goes looking for a face-to-face encounter.
Hey, get out of my way, I can't film.
It's 10 p.m. in Florida's Green Swamp.
You're at work.
Yeah, I hear that. I thought that was one of you guys.
No, there was something running towards us.
That's 63-year-old Mark Barton and 51-year-old Chris Connor. For the past 3 years, they've been on a wild mission.
Connor, in the chat, can you put on there if you know those two investigators? Are they the real deal? Is there anything we should know about those two investigators that, you know, I want to learn if these guys are the real deal to even watch, or are they just complete phonies? So let me know.
How much do you
Connor.
vouch for them?
Yeah, vouch for me. You know, this is what this is what this channel is about: vouching, finding people who know the truth or not about certain videos. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, that I'm gonna show everybody frauds and stuff, but you guys know what's real or not, and let us know, because a lot of us have never seen these before. I'm sure Spooky's never seen those two investigators before. Here we go. No. He goes, yeah, Chris Connor has been out with a lot of my friends. Perfect. So we're watching we're watching good investigators. Thank you, Connor.
Yeah. To prove that Florida's very own version of Bigfoot, the skunk ape.
A lot of activity.
A hairy, 7-foot-tall, half-man, half-ape creature.
It's close.
With very bad body odor.
Oh, there's that odor again, guys.
Is for real. They swear they've seen one.
It looked apish. It had round cheeks, thin lips, the broad nose, deep eye sockets, and what you can make out to be a thick brow.
Legend has it the creature lives somewhere in here. 110,000 acres of the overgrown, waterlogged, snake-infested jungle.
He's holding the ground, ain't he?
Known as Florida's Green Swamp.
Jeez, like Jurassic Park in here.
Chris says he and his sister first spotted it when they were children.
It was taking like 3 of these larger steps getting back into the swamp and just blended into the swamp, and that was it.
I'm beginning to be more and more convinced that this area has what we're looking for. The only problem is do you got the guts to go looking for it?
Why here? Why this swamp that happens to be in your backyard?
You got thick vegetation, you have running water, you have wildlife for food. Why couldn't they be here?
The duo spends most weekends trekking through palmetto trees.
Water.
Oh, the mosquitoes are getting thick.
Trying their best to avoid the creatures they do know exist here.
How big was he, you think? He's 7 foot.
He didn't like me getting camera close.
Adventure and fun drive them.
We're the two lonely souls that go back out to
We're the diehards here.
But it all started.
You know what, Spooky? You and I, we both live on the West Coast. You know, and you know, we do research. The main thing we worry about is probably bears. But you imagine being out there, you got to worry about alligators too.
Oh man, they're all over in that place.
I mean, we have snakes too. We have bad snakes, but because of the humidity and stuff, they got snakes, alligators. I mean, you got to have a little extra guts in you.
You got to have a sack on you, man.
I mean, that's just amazing. God, I mean, you hear stories all the time. What was it, a couple of years ago? Disney World, at a hotel, an alligator grabbed a kid and took it into the water.
Oh yeah.
And now they built fence. You know, they built a fence, right? They built it now, but still, that's at a Disney World where you think they're better at making it safe. So this is
gotta respect the land, man.
Alligators, man.
This is their world. We're just visiting.
Yes, exactly.
It all goes back to his wife was terminally ill, and we knew she was dying, and the day was eventually going to come. And so I said, when the day comes, you know, you need to stay busy. And at the time, there was a Finding Bigfoot show that was beginning to be more popular, and I said, you know what? I've always wanted to go do an expedition.
And I said, hell, why not? I have to do something. If I sit here, I'm not gonna make it.
Now they're hooked. They document their adventure.
Now, guys, I'm gonna pause it here. I'm gonna have the whole link so you can watch the whole 6 minutes after the show. This is the part, because I want to move on to the paranormal stuff. But when people make fun of certain shows like finding Bigfoot and stuff like that. You don't know what show inspires you to do your own kind of research. That's why I'm open to anything, even if you think a show's crazy or not. Like, I love the Mountain Monsters. That's a guilty pleasure for me. And that could be the show that inspires new groups of researchers to go out there and look for themselves. So I look at shows as opportunities. When people make fun of Hollywood sometimes and all that, hey, listen, that one show might inspire the correct people to be out at a certain time to find that money shot. You never know. I mean, I've heard that story a lot of times when somebody lost a wife, husband, daughter, and kid. And, you know, if you stay home, it just eats you on the inside, or you break up with somebody and then you give yourself something to do, give yourself a challenge, give yourself something that you can feel proud of. And getting inspired by shows, I'm sure, Spooky, that you probably watched sometimes in your life, a paranormal show and all that, made you want to go out and do your own research.
Absolutely. I'm so inspired by some of those shows. I mean, some people are so dedicated to it. Like people like Connor. I mean, he totally motivates you to want to get out and be around nature and, you know, get your hands dirty. And even though I'm a little bit scared sometimes for the gators, I don't want him to run into one of those. And but he's so already veteran at what he's doing. He knows how to handle himself. But he inspires, man. That's what it is. And everybody's inspired with different things. Different, you know. I also wish I had half his energy. It is. That is contagious. I mean, his energy is very contagious. It's like, how do you do it? I mean, when people don't know him, you know, they don't understand. I mean, this guy can go on 5 shows in a day and bring his energy to every single show. When he was on UFO Garage last week, I mean, even Ben and Joe, who by nature, they already are so energetic, but I think he even wowed them, man. Yeah. If you're not ready for him, they don't know what's going to hit them. I have seen shows that Connor goes on and people be like, dude, you got to slow down. No, don't ask somebody to slow down, because somebody's personality is their personality. I don't want Connor any other way than the way he is. Yeah, you don't need to slow down. You'll get more people. I don't know. I think his energy gets enough people as it is. So I don't know what people are talking about. So beyond that, guys, we're going to move on over to the paranormal. All right, this is basically a video clip of a couple local paranormals visiting a paranormal site.
Now at 11, we're celebrating Halloween a little early here at Western Mass News by taking you along on a ghost hunt with Agawam Paranormal.
And tonight we're searching for spirits in my hometown of Agawam at American Legion Post 185.
In Agawam, everybody knows the M60 parked outside American Legion Post 185, giving the Legion its nickname, the Tag. But they might not know the building behind it is reportedly haunted. That's why Agawam Paranormal is here, setting up night vision cameras, motion detectors, and other monitoring devices to look for evidence. One of the rooms in particular is known to regulars as a regular haunt, the banquet room. And that's where I sit down with Agawam Paranormal founder Rob Goff for a quick interview. But the first attempt fails, our fresh battery suddenly going dead. So we try a second time, and it happens again.
But what are we going to be doing? Why is this red, though?
That I don't know.
It's already flashing again like the battery's dying.
It's Casper. Casper eats batteries.
Yeah.
And then our audio cuts out, making our voices impossible to understand. Turns out that's a common occurrence here at the Tag. Voices just loud enough to hear, but not quite understand what they're saying.
Yeah, you hear the voices and the footsteps, but I can't really say that they bother me. I don't feel like it's threatening.
Yeah.
I just feel like somebody's trying to get my attention.
Lynn O'Brien is the manager here at the Legion, many times closing up alone in the wee hours.
It's not every time I work, but at least once a week, something weird happens.
That often?
Yeah. Well, I'm here a lot.
You've got such a wide range of people that have had experiences here. Everything from like Lynn, who lives here practically, to somebody that just comes in and has a beer. They're here for 20 minutes. Yet they're all having these same experiences and describing exactly the same thing from a different point of view.
Feelings of being watched, sightings of strange shadows, and phantom footsteps.
Door was locked. There wasn't a soul in that room. Clear as a bell. Boom, 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 boom. It was weird as heck.
That's exactly what we're hoping to capture. Something weird, something unexplained, something like this. Just after 11, inside a dark and empty banquet room, this orb appears in mid-frame and zooms from right to left. About an hour later, as Lynn sits in complete darkness by herself up in the attic, a pulsating orb approaches her from the right. She would later say she felt as if someone or something had just entered the room. So she turns to look in the darkness, and it zooms down through the floor. Below her in the storage room, the pulsating orb drops from the ceiling and continues its path down out of frame. And there's also this picture taken in the banquet hall. Just to the left, we've highlighted an anomaly, a tall, dark shape where there shouldn't be anything at all. Finally, back to those strange noises. Now, we didn't hear any ghostly footsteps, but remember the disembodied voices, heard but never quite understood? The team sets up an audio recorder in what should have been a silent room. But when it's played back later, we get this. Could that be one of the voices? And added with the videos and the picture, is it evidence the tank is actually haunted?
Makes you scratch your head and wonder, as always. Every year we walk away from a location, wondering, what does this mean?
Well, that's for you to decide. Happy Halloween.
Now, how do you feel about orbs? I mean, is orbs a big thing when you look into the paranormal, or because I look at orbs half-ass, but if I'm going to look at a video footage of orbs, I am looking at exactly how it moves. So it's not a dust. So in that video, it was kind of interesting how it went to the side and it looked like the color was blinking. Now, I don't know if that's because of the camera or not. But how do you feel about orbs?
Well, from my opinion on orbs is that I believe that orbs are all around us at all time. We just most people can't see them with the state of the naked eye as most people have it. But there are orbs all around us at all times because they're life beings, and life beings is everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm not going to say every single circle is 100% real, but like I said, if you're going to look at an orb, guys, you should really look at the direction and look at the speed on how is it going, because dust particles move at a certain kind of a speed, but then if an orb will move usually faster, throughout. And one of the things I have learned in the last year is it seemed like the color blue has came up a lot on orbs. I don't know if that's a certain kind of energy, if that means something, but I've actually heard about the color blue on orbs. It's just something if you want to think about. Now, guys, this next one is another investigation group. They're called SPOOK. They're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So if you live in Oklahoma, you guys might have heard of this paranormal group called SPOOK. Now, is this the one?
You think your house might be haunted? Do things go bump in the night?
Well, you may want to meet Oklahoma's real-life ghost hunters. New tonight, 2 News reporter Pete Knutson tells us they say they use science to see the other side.
It's almost eerie, maybe a sign. Clouds crawl across a nearly full moon as we begin a haunted journey into the dark, creaking, spooky world of the paranormal.
This stuff actually happens. There is an afterlife. It goes on.
It's why Jim Pace says he founded SPOOK, which stands for Sooner Paranormal of Oklahoma. He and his team of self-proclaimed ghost hunters return to this building often. It's in Sapulpa and used to house a jewelry business down in the basement until someone or something, Jim says, chased the owner away.
He vacated in a hurry. You'll see why when you get down here.
But hang on. To help us understand what we might find, Jim says he wants to tell us more about this old building with a dark history. It was built back in 1902. A speakeasy and brothel, Jim tells us. A place for prostitutes and bare-knuckle brawlers. Home of the rough and tumble world of roughnecks and railroad workers. You could still hear the trains running nearby.
It was a railroad town. It was an oil town. A lot of rough characters. And a lot of them are right here.
Down there in that basement.
We're asking any spirit people, ghost people, come close to either Christine or myself.
In the 30 or so times the team has returned here with their microphones and meters and cameras and recorders, Jim says they've encountered several spirits, several shadows, moving here and moving there. They say they even got to know some by name, or at least by nickname. One of them, Jim tells us, goes by Cowboy.
He's a pretty scary looking dude, I'll give you that.
Most of the spirits they run into upstairs, these ghost hunters say, are mostly pleasant. But as for the ones down here, down in the basement, Jim warns, watch out.
The people in the basement, not always such nice folks.
What?
People have been hurt down there. They have been scratched, bruised, punched. I've had my hat taken off down there.
Perhaps, some say, the basement is where all those bare-knucklers proved who was toughest, and still don't think their brawl is over, even a century later.
If you can focus on this chalkboard.
Other paranormal signs, Jim says, a message on a chalkboard, which was once part of that basement jewelry business. Someone or something, he says, wrote this message.
The cake is a lie.
Which historically, Jim says, means the promised reward never happened, meaning somebody down here isn't very happy. And 4 years ago, Jim says he had his team psychic write this question on the board. What is your name?
6 months later, we came back and found Matty. We didn't write it.
Back upstairs, members of Jim's team keep watch on that equipment.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Look at him. Oh,
Stopping.
he's moving slow.
Those monitors and meters, where every picture, every frame of video, every noise is recorded. Evidence, Christine Hartzell says, of their ghostly encounters.
You can sit there watching video for hours and there's nothing there, you know, for hours, and then all of a sudden a shadow will pop up. And I will just about jump up and jump for joy.
It's evidence to show their client, members of SPOOK say, to prove that client isn't going crazy. Jim says they have some kind of investigation nearly every weekend.
There was a female right before the traffic noise.
Okay.
Clients wanting to know if their home or their business is really haunted. Sometimes they find strong evidence of paranormal activity, Jim says. Other times, there are more earthly explanations.
Sometimes we find that it's not an actual paranormal anything that's going on there. Sometimes it's critters under the house. Sometimes it's just people that drink too much.
As for the naysayers out there, the doubters, Jim
guess.
says, believe as you will. As for him and his team, there are just too many questions.
Okay, so you basically had two different stories where one area said they never got harmed. You know, they sensed they're there. But then you go to this one, people are getting punched, getting scratches. So there are, I guess, you know, there are different energy types of ghosts that does harm and does not harm. Have you ever been on any investigation yourself, Spooky, where you were harmed?
You know, I haven't been on when we were in high school, we would be dumb kids and go hang out at the cemetery sometimes on the Friday night. And I don't remember ever being harmed in any way. Just, you know, that's when I realized that I definitely connected with spirit in a way that I felt like others really didn't. Because that's when my senses were really becoming in tune to being able to do that. So no, not where I've been injured. Thank God.
Yeah, that's the one that we don't want that on anybody.
I feel when I was watching that video, I was thinking how sad I feel for the spirits that, you know, are still so angry and living so miserably in the afterlife. You know.
Yeah, and you wonder how can you help them? You know, isn't it as easy as finding a medium to come with you to trying to talk to them to find out what they need? You know, or
just the thought of being stuck in a basement for eternity or something, it just gives me the willies, and I feel so bad for them.
And that's what's weird, right? If you physically think about it, why can't some seem like they could travel from different levels of a building, first floor, second, third, unless they're multiple ghosts?
Why the some only are trapped in a certain spot?
It's almost like they've been condemned to be there, and they can't get out.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, is it, I'm not saying the word suicide, but they say in suicide, you relive that every day of your life. Is that a reason why they're trapped? Because it used to be a whorehouse and all that, and there's a lot of drinking and drugs, killing themselves, killing other people. So there's a lot of anger and non-anger, and those cowboy towns, those railroad towns, those are rough times.
Yes, exactly. That's wild to think about.
Man, I think I'm getting myself depressed.
Okay, no more depressed videos.
Well,
No.
when we get into the UFOs, I guess you could say this one might be a cool one or not. It depends on you. All right. This was just kind of a fun one, people. This is kind of a fun one. This is where Will Smith talks aliens at the White House. So this is about his kid wanting to ask the president about aliens and UFOs. So I thought this was kind of cute, kind of light. I'm not always trying to find darkness and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's kind of a cool little thing. I don't know how people feel about Will Smith or not. It doesn't matter. We're all open here. Here we go.
I was at the White House with my family, and we were getting a tour, and Barack and Michelle and Sasha and Malia,
Nice.
and it's me and Jada and the kids, and we're walking through the White House. And the night before, Jaden had said to me, "Dad, I got to ask the president about the aliens, if I was like, dude, no, it's not cool. No,
it is cool.
It's not cool. It's embarrassing.
You have to take that opportunity. He knows.
No, you don't.
Yeah, because he's your son, so all you do is go, oh, I'm sorry.
I was
But
like,
answer the question.
Jaden, do not ask the president. So we get into the situation room, and Jaden gets the look in his eyes, and he leans over, he says, "Dad, what's my punishment?" And I was like, Jaden, do not. So he looks, and, Barack is talking about the situation room, and Jaden says, "Excuse me, Mr. President." And I was like, "Hey, Barack, man, hey, listen, Jaden. And Barack said, "Don't tell me." And in perfect form, like, this is why he's the president, he stopped and looked at Jaden and said, "The aliens, right?" And I was like, oh, shoot. And he said, "Okay, I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of extraterrestrials, but I can tell you, if there had been a top secret meeting, and if there would have had to have been a discussion about it, it would have taken place in this room."
Oh!
And Jaden was like,
That's big.
he's like, "I told you, Dad, I told you it's aliens." I'm like, dude.
See, now he's going to watch Men in Black 3 and think it's a fly-on-the-wall documentary about his dad.
And is he still grounded then from that incident?
Yeah, no. He's got about 8 or 9 more months.
Okay.
Embarrassing
But
in
it's
front of the
worth it,
president.
But you should look into this. You got to find out.
Come on, man.
Do you want to find out?
Listen, here's the deal.
Aliens.
I know. I have the top secret information. I just can't share it. You don't think I've made all of these movies and not been briefed by the White House?
It makes sense now.
Of course. I know. I just can't tell you.
Will Smith's an alien. That's what he's saying.
Now, I'm going to ask you, Spooky, do you really think, maybe he's correct, 100% correct. Now, of course, if there are aliens and UFOs, Barack Obama is correct. They probably had the discussion in that room. That's probably real. But do you think they would tell him some important UFOs, aliens, because he's doing a movie, Independence Day? would that qualify to be the person like, "Hey, I'll tell you the truth. Here's some information." What do you think of that?
The only thing when I heard him saying that, the thing that first came to my mind was how I've always thought that there were some people that were given, information that could help influence, like when Steven Spielberg, made Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, some of his biggest inspiration from that, and people that actually contributed, they actually worked on it. People like J. Allen Hynek, who wrote, was part of Project Blue Book. And he had Jacques Vallée there, and his character was represented as the French scientist that helped communicate with the alien beings in the movie. So, I do think that some of these Hollywood producers and directors, writers, they get information that a lot of us don't.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if Steven Spielberg walks up to you in the White House and says, "Hey, I need some information doing this movie," they'll fucking bow down to him. Like, "Oh yeah, what do you want to know? What do you want to know? Yeah. Oh, you want a black orbit? Oh, here's something about the black silver. Oh, blue ship. Oh, here's something on the blue ship."
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Because Close Encounters of the Third Kind is so spot on and so many different things, like the missing planes in that famous history where the whole bombers are all gone, and in that movie he had them out in the desert. So he was so spot on so many things in that movie that came from different stories about the shape of the alien and all that. And he must have been fed. And listen, come on, Steven Spielberg also did E.T. So he has he has a love for aliens. I mean, George Lucas too, right? His best buddy, George Lucas, the Star Wars, and then him and Steven Spielberg. I'm not saying it's a good Indiana Jones movie, the Crystal Skull, but it was interesting that they brought the UFOs back. The aliens in the end of the movie where the ship comes out. So,
no matter what anybody says about that movie, and I know it gets its criticism, but the end of that movie was unbelievable, man.
It's great, and
that scene with the pyramids and the UFOs and the Earth breaking apart.
Dude, I'm telling you, George Lucas wants to tell the world that UFOs are real. The Mandela effect is real. He wants to do it, but he does it through his movie. It's like there's a message of a message.
It's like, it's like a slow drip of information just to be instilled in our minds. It's like, what it's like? Some people might even call it disclosure.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, guys, this next video is a leaked video shows UFO flying around a Navy ship near San Diego. Oh, right. I love San Diego.
Oh, that's in my neck of the woods.
Oh, you're near San Diego, right?
Yeah, I live about 30 minutes north of it.
Yeah. My brother, when he went to the Navy, his boot camp was actually in San Diego.
MCRD.
Yeah, and that's that.
Oh, Navy?
The Navy. Yeah, I don't know. I think they closed down the boot camp part and they moved it, but that's where, unless it's still there, I don't know. But that's where he did his boot camp in San Diego.
Yeah, there's a Point Loma base. We got about 5 bases of Navy bases in San Diego County.
Yeah, So let's check out this UFO leaked ship.
On a pitch black night off the coast of California, newly leaked video allegedly shows one of the U.S. Navy's stealth ships tracking an unknown object in the sky. And after a few minutes,
splashed. Mark bearing and range.
The 2019 footage obtained by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, who last month released another video of an upside-down pyramid UFO hovering above a Navy destroyer.
This is part of a much larger series of events that we're going to be learning about.
The Pentagon confirming the video was taken by Navy personnel. The images now being reviewed by a government task force set to brief Congress next month on what they call unidentified aerial phenomenon. This weekend, 60 Minutes speaking to fighter pilots who reported seeing unidentified flying objects.
Every day for at least a couple years.
Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence Chris Mellon says sensor technology has improved dramatically over the years, but pilots have reported seeing some of the same things for decades.
Are there any similarities between these recent incidents and incidents that go back as far as half a century?
There seems to be a lot of continuity there.
He says one of the biggest problems is the stigma that comes with talking about UFOs, something a Navy lieutenant commander also told CBS she struggled with after she and 3 others saw a 40-foot flying object disappear in 2004.
I think that over beers we've sort of said, hey man, if I saw this solo, I don't know that I would have come back and said anything because it sounds so crazy when I say it.
How would you describe this thing that we can't explain?
What we're seeing are a number of distinct, different things. Sometimes we're seeing a 50-foot object that can travel at hypersonic speeds and seemingly go into orbit or come down from altitudes above potentially 100,000 feet.
Do you think that we will see a release from the government that shows something conclusively?
There is more that could be shared, will be shared with Congress for certain. I don't see that coming to the public soon.
And that is the problem. All we're really seeing are these little glimpses of leaked videos, while things like the original high-definition footage, the radar data, the sonar data, that hasn't been released because most of it's classified. And there could be some very worldly explanations. It could be Russian or Chinese drones, a top-secret U.S. project. But at this point, it's going to be up to Congress to get to the bottom of this whole mystery. Guys?
All right, Gotti Schwartz.
Now, this is the problem about Congress. Now, most Congress, I'm not saying all of them, most of them are little rich little brat kids that had parents rich money, so they had $1 million where they run, they win. They're not real researchers. They're not into the UFOs and the Bigfoots. When they're given this kind of information, they could give a shit about it. It's almost like I wish I could run and win, because if they brought me some files, I'll be into it. I want to read it. But the type of people that are in Congress, let's be honest, they don't give a shit. I'd rather take a word from a military pilot, because they have honor. There might be some bad ones, but they have honor, they have respect, and they know that if they come out and speak about something, that it could be the end of their career. I mean, that's just it. I'd rather take their word over it than somebody in Congress who just don't give a shit about, UFOs and stuff.
They're only going to care about it when their political career depends on it.
Yep. Yeah. and if they think that if they talk about a UFO, they get them extra points in a poll, that's probably they'll bring it out there.
Exactly.
They're not going to give a shit. So when they keep saying, well, the Congress will look at it. Yeah. Well, who's in Congress? You think they're going to give a shit?
I wonder what Gillibrand,
how to make more money for themselves so they can run again in 2-3 years, and how they're going to fat their wallets.
I wonder what Senator Gillibrand's reason for being so involved in it, what her motives are.
That's the thing. Don't you wish we could be in there and just, and I will be in there, not just look at the files. I want to sit there and look at every motherfucker in Congress and see how they're taking this information. Because I'm telling you, I bet you they're giving stuff that they just don't give a shit about. It's pretty, I'm not saying, we're the perfect answer, because, we might go too much towards one way, but I would be so interested in that stuff. Okay, yeah, we'll raise taxes on people. Great. I'll sign the fucking paper here. Raise taxes. Great. I'll be like Mulder in the X-Files section, reading it all up. You know what I mean?
You'll be down in the basement.
Be in the basement. That's why I love X-Files. Like that an FBI who cares about these other cases. I want this case. That would be me in Congress.
Right. I agree. Me too. It's like, you only got one life. Let's go ahead and just go for it.
I can imagine you and I in Congress. We're like, what are you doing today? We're going to be in the basement.
We'll have special divisions. We'll have Bigfoot. We'll have ghosts. We'll have UFOs. It'll be like, we'll create a whole division.
All right. Now, guys, I know this is everybody's most favorite segment of the whole day. It's the Mandela effect. I know everybody's dying for this segment. I know I am.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
Luke, I am your father.
All right, before I show this video clip, Alan did write in the last segment, Eric, everyone in Congress is interested in UFOs without doubt. They just not into sharing info with the public. And that could be true too. That could be true too. But I'm just saying, if people in Congress were that passionate about the UFO, there'll be more leaks somehow. People can't hold things in forever. They will tell somebody. They have to tell somebody if they're very interested in it. Because remember, these aren't regular people. These are millionaires. Kind of like when people complain about the NFLs. They're all millionaires playing ball and stuff. Well, that's your Congress too. That's your Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And these people can't hold secrets like there's nobody's business. But beyond that, guys, this video clip I'm going to show is actually about Buck Rogers. And if anybody who lived in the late 70s and 80s will remember, there was a Buck Rogers movie for the TV show. And it's like one of the original artificial intelligence robots. And basically a man goes in space, gets frozen. He's frozen to 25th century, and he gets thawed out. And now the channel I'm showing this from is a guy named Mandela Affected. Now, I'm not going to tell people what good channels or bad channels, but the Mandela Effect community is probably the hardest community to ever find out, well, what channels I can even trust, because it is, I hate to say it, it's probably one of the worst corrupted communities of all of them, because there's a lot of bad people in it. I'm just speaking the truth. There's a lot of bad people. They're more truthers than they are believing in the Mandela effect. They use it as a tool to get more subscribers. But this guy, Mandela Affected, this is his life. I mean, he studies the Mandela effect. So when you see this guy talk about Buck Rogers, he's the real deal. If you're going to follow somebody in the Mandela effect community, Mandela Affected is one of the guys that I give my personal thumbs up for. And he's not glamorous. He just tells you straight. He just tells you what he believes, and that's the end of it. So this is about Buck Rogers today.
In 1979, there was a sci-fi film that came out that was called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Now, I saw this in 1980, and I was 8 years old. I saw it at primary school in the hall assembly with everyone else on a big projector that used like a big cine projector, and they projected it onto the wall, but they showed us part 2 before they showed us part 1. So it sort of messed it all up for us. So we couldn't make much sense of it at that age until we'd seen it again in the proper order. And the thing is, when they played part 1, they actually left the camera on, the cine on, if you like. So it was just projecting on the wall, and it projected the start of it, which was Buck Rogers in the 25th century. But it was Rogers with a D. And I know it was Rogers with a D. I'm 100% it was Rogers with a D. I remember what it looked like. I know it was spelled.
Now, people in the chat, I don't know if a lot of you have seen Buck Rogers. If you remember the name Rogers with the D or G, put in the chat. Let me know what you remember. I know younger people probably never seen Buck Rogers, so this is probably mostly for the 40-year-olds and above. I get that. But if you do remember, what do you remember how you spell Rogers? Here we go.
It's had all the merchandise on it, had everything. And the pictures just look very strange with it without the D. It looks very small. Now, when I've watched it recently, I watched it about 5 years ago, I think it was, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was all right, from what I recall. But I've watched it again, and it's very, very different. He's got a different haircut. I mean, he looks a muppet now in it. He looks an absolute muppet. The rocket is in, Ranger 3, now has 2 extra booster rockets on it. He's got a scar on his right cheek. Never had that. He's got very bad acting all the way through it. Lots of crude
That's
jokes. His gun holster's different, or the gun holsters in general are different. The costumes are different. The filming is all from different angles, and if you've seen it once, I think you should have a good idea that them angles are off. Tweaky now has white legs.
Here it is.
Which is
he remembers it with the D.
a mustache thing going on, with little indents on the side of his mouth. And there's a whole load of other things as well. So, if you can remember Buck Rogers, because we used to say Buck Rogers at school, we used to pronounce the D, and it used to wind the dinner ladies up.
Jerry Brown with the D.
Oh, what are you doing now? Do you want to play Buck Rogers? And say, oh, it's Rogers. We'd always do that. I remember these little things that we did that further ingrained the fact that it was a D. But yeah, what I'd say is have a look at Buck Rogers. If you can remember, if you've ever seen it before, go and watch it, because you'll love finding all these little Easter eggs. It's so you're not really watching the film, you're looking out for Mandela effects, and it makes it interesting, even though the acting is just appalling. So yeah, enjoy them when you see them. Put them in the comments.
Okay, so I grew up on Buck Rogers. I was a kid. I was when Buck Rogers started in 1979. I was born in 73, so I was 7, 8. So I was at that age of sci-fi, fantasy, and all that. And so if somebody asked me, how would I spell Rogers, I would have the D with it, because I for memory wise, that's what I would remember. Rogers with the D. Now, Spook, I don't know if you're probably a lot younger than me, so I don't know if you.
I never got to see that one.
You never watched Buck Rogers?
I mean, I know of it, but I never watched it.
Yeah, and here's another person. Ardeen Paranormal has the D. See, I know some of these McDuffins are for there is the age thing with some of these, but I will have Mandela Affected linked to his channel in there, and he's a lot like myself. He's passionate about it. He studies it, and he's probably one of the real deals. So if you want to learn about Mandela effects, he's the guy to go to. He's one of the guys to go to. Of course, my brother is too, Dr. Wu, Bob, Dr. Wu, and oh, sorry about that. It's probably a mailman. So since I got you just a couple minutes of Spooky, have you ever had a major? Hey, you shut up. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what went wrong. Have you ever had like a major Mandela effect for yourself that you just you don't understand why it's changed for you? Or have you had anything like that?
The Mandela effect is one that I find it so interesting, because I love the examples that you guys put up, and some other people, but for me, I mean, they just kind of all I identify with them. The thing about the all the different products that are in the stores, and you think you recognize it as one way, and then and like this one for example too, it totally resonates with me, because I can imagine both of them seeming correct in people's minds.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, and like I said, for everybody, there's different effects for everybody. Not when people come out and say, there's some channels will say, well, if you don't believe that Ed McMahon never worked for this, and you're fucking wrong. And that's the wrong attitude, because everybody has different memories. Everybody does. It's like I grew up on James Bond Moonraker. Okay, I grew up on that. I did. I love Roger Moore. That was my James Bond. So with the famous story about the braces and no braces, why that's huge with me, because for whatever reason in my brain, I remember those braces, and now seeing it's not. It's so trippy. Now there can be an explanation. I know there is, but your memory is your memory. It's just like. Well,
but one of the most wild parts of it is like the little survey you did in the chat. Some people see the D, others don't in their minds.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just wild to think about how some people so believe one thing and others believe another.
And the ones who do remember the D, you do think to yourself, like, it doesn't look right without the D. And you ask yourself,
right?
Well, maybe because of this and this and this. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have that image with the D. Why? And it's just like, I want a good explanation,
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people that your memory is your memory. Nobody can change your memory. Now, Daily Dan, I get it. Sean Connery, I know he's considered like the best. I know. But you got to understand, when I was a kid, the first experience I had with James Bond is Roger Moore. So it's
but look at the way he spelled it.
I know, huh? Right?
Because I think he's playing on the fact that the real spelling is SEAN.
Well, let me look that up. Here, hold on. So let's have some fun here. Let's have some fun here for a second.
We're having a little test for the Mandela effect.
Here,
I mean, if it goes over
I'm
a couple
gonna
minutes.
screen to a Google screen. We're gonna type in Sean Connery his way. Let me see here. Let me share the screen. So this is Google. Let's type in Sean Connery. Now that's Sean Connery. How did he spell it? He has an H. Okay. See? Sean, SHAWN. And
I see what he did there.
that's smart. That's smart. Are you playing Buck's reply? Buck's reply. I'm saving your reply for the next one. I'm doing a part 2 on Buck Rogers, Mandela affected. So this is just partial of it. But people are gonna have to come back for that reply one. So man, so that's awesome, Spooky. So I want to say thank you for joining me today. It's fun just to kick back, relax. It's more relaxed of a show because you get to watch some videos and all that. And
I love it. This show is one of my favorites.
So I appreciate your honesty on the effect and all that. Well, what's this? Absolutely. Adam West. Somebody wrote Adam West. Is that spelled different too?
That I don't know another spelling.
Let me see.
I don't know how else you would spell it.
Adam West. That says Adam West. He spelled it the correct way. I'm just curious. Was there another way of Adam West?
Yeah.
I was thinking he was doing the same thing with what Katie Dan did.
Hey, Eric, when you were showing those videos of Buck Rogers, it brought to my mind the movie. One of my favorite cheesy 80 movies was Flash Gordon. Sometime I would love to talk to you about that movie. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Dude, Flash Gordon.
Right?
Here, let me see something here.
Merciless Ming the Merciless.
Well, I want to see if I can find it here just for a second, just so I can put it in the chat for people. Here, let me switch. I
knew you'd appreciate that movie.
Let me see here. Because I did. Let me see here. Let me take this screen off for a second. Let me take the screen off and let me share this screen for a second. Because on my Horror Talk channel, let me see if I can find it right here. I did. I'll put this link in it for you if in the future you want to watch this video because I did a video on Flash Gordon. And yes. I called it, and the name of it is Flash Gordon is the most underrated comic book ever.
Absolutely.
It's the most underrated. So you and I, we're thinking on the same page because if anybody watched Thor Ragnarok, whatever, that Thor movie, the colorful movie that had was used from Flash Gordon. You talked to that director. He said he used all the colors that they had in Flash Gordon. Now, does the movie come across nowadays? Well, when you see the Earth, there's no clouds on it and stuff. But you got to remember, they took some balls on it. And Queen song on Flash Gordon.
Just for that alone.
I mean, come on, baby. Flash Gordon. I'm telling you, it's the most underrated comic book movie ever. I
agree completely, man.
Awesome. And if people didn't know this, George Lucas wanted to do a Flash Gordon movie. He tried to get the rights to make Flash Gordon, and he could not get the rights. Because he couldn't get the rights, he turned his attention back to Star Wars. So because he didn't get the rights, that's how come we got.
Oh, I did not know that. We got
Star Wars because he could not get the rights of Flash Gordon.
Whoa.
Now, in the beginning of Star Wars, when you saw all those words, those words were based on the Flash Gordon TV, the old black and white shows when the words went up on the Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
That's what he put in Star Wars in honor of Flash Gordon. So Flash Gordon is everywhere, and I wish people would go back and watch that 1980 movie. Produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who brought you Conan the Barbarian. He brought you Red Sonja. He brought you a lot of those movies that a lot of people wouldn't bring to the big screen. So I have a special heart for you saying that now.
I just had a feeling like you probably were a big fan as well. I love that movie, man. I have it on my in my library.
If you ever get a chance, man, you should get that clip and watch it. It's on my Horror Talk channel, and it was just, and I think Connor.
This one here that you dropped in the chat, right?
Yes, I just dropped, and Connor jumped on that show with me.
What?
And we both talked about Flash Gordon, and of course we went into some other movies from it. But man, it was it's a good video, and I think you will respect it. It's not on the Gypsy Road channel. It's on my Horror Talk channel. But that's the link right here.
I'm gonna subscribe to that right now. Everybody's subscribed to Horror Talk.
Yeah, I have done less things on it lately because I've been concentrating on the breaking news. But I am going to be bringing it back, because I love talking horror movies. I love talking movies that people don't want to talk about. I make stupid music videos with 80s music and 90s music just for fun. But beyond that, I want to thank you, Spooky, for coming on. I know you got to go, and
yeah, I do.
Appreciate it, guys, and come back tomorrow, and I'll probably have the Buck Rogers reply for that Mandela effect. I want to thank Mandela Effect for giving me permission to show his stuff. I appreciate it. I appreciate anybody who allows me to show their stuff. And if I get more people to allow me, I can actually expand it to even more. But beyond that, guys, have a great day, and I'll see a lot of you back tomorrow. And Spooky, thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. It was awesome.
I'll talk to you later.